Hello, Josh again with Animo. In this video we're going to show you a playthrough of the game Sharpen Your Sword. Now a couple things I just want to clarify before we get into the video. First thing is that we are playing with a single starter deck. So in a full game of Sharpen Your Sword, actually each player would play with their own full deck of cards. The starter deck is unique in that it can be used as a full deck, or it's been designed to be split into two smaller decks. So we have a Hightail deck and an Armorino deck. To split it, you're just going to find the little icon on the bottom of the card. There is a blue Armorino icon, and half the cards have a yellow Hightail icon. So you're going to want to separate the deck, make two piles of Armorino cards and Hightail cards. We've already done that. For the playthrough, you're going to see it's already set up that way. The next thing is we just want to make it very clear, we're using a playmat in the video. You don't need a playmat in order to play the game. It does help kind of figure out where things go, and especially when you're learning and when we're doing these demonstrations, it's very helpful to show the placement of different cards. As long as you know where all the different cards go and everything is supposed to go, you can lay it out on a table. You don't need the playmat to play. And the third thing we just want to clarify before we get started are the victory conditions for Sharpen Your Sword. There are 3 ways to win a game of Sharpen Your Sword. Number 1, be the first person to score 60 virtue points and sharpen your sword. Number 2, defeat 6 of your opponent's cinis. And number 3, if your opponent can't draw any cards to start their turn, or in other words, their deck has run out, you win. When you're playing with half a starter deck, those victory conditions are scaled back a little bit. So for the game that we're going to demonstrate, to win that, you requires the first person to 40 points instead of 60, since we're playing with a smaller decks. Also, if you defeat 3 cinis, you win, and again, the third condition is the same, where if you run out of cards, you lose. So with that said, hope you enjoy the playthrough, and thanks for watching.
Hello! Today we are going to show you how to play Sharpen Your Sword with the Animo Starter Deck. Today we're going to set it up so I go first. Going to start with the draw phase with 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, these are the cards that I drew. I'm next going to go to the setup phase, which has a couple different actions that can be taken. I'm going to take on my level 1 Animos, and I'm going to play them in my small group. Because I went first in the game, I'm not going to be able to play my Cine card, so I'm going to hold on to that. That's one of the rules. The player that goes first cannot play a Cine card on their first turn. That balances things out. I also have a power card. I'm going to play this power card in my power pool. I am going to hold on to my Cine, so this moves on to the next phase, which is the scoring phase. I'm going to take my power token and put it on one of my power cards, and I'm going to play both Woolsey, which has a cost of 1 faith, and Cutie Pillar, which has a cost of free, which does not cost anything. So 5 points was scored. There's no active Cine to play against, so I put those in my discard pile and score 5 points.
Okay, I will begin my turn by drawing until I have 5 cards in my hand. 3, 4, 5. And we'll begin my setup phase of my turn. First thing I'm going to do is play one of my power cards into my power pool. I'm going to go with this because I have a Hope guy here. Now you can play 1 power card from your hand to your power pool per turn. Also, what you can do on your turn is play any level 1 Animo. The level is indicated there. Can play directly into your small group as long as you have space. There's room for up to 4 here. So I'm left with another power, which I already played one, so I can't play that. I'll save it for next turn. And I have a Cine. I'm going to go ahead and put this in the active Cine's position facing my opponent. So he'll have to deal with him before he can score any points. Moving on to the scoring phase, I have really only 1 play here. I've got Gratify requires 1 Hope power in order to be played. I have just that, so I'll mark that with a token showing that I have what it takes to put him in play, and then I will go ahead and score the 4 points for Gratify.
First thing I do on my turn is I'm going to reset my powers. So I take my power token off my powers, and then I draw up to 5. I already have 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 now. This is what I was able to draw. I take my level 1's Animo, and I'm going to put them in my small group. I did draw a level 3 Amarino. In order to play Amarino, I would need to have both Ninjano and Wariano, which I don't have either of them yet. It's pretty early in the game, so I'm going to discard him and hope that I get a card later on that I'm able to pull from my discard deck and hopefully get him back in my hand so we can play him. I also have a Cine, Tagalong. I'll play that active Cine on my opponent. And I'm going to move on to the scoring phase. I have 1 power, which I will use to play Chipper. Chipper defeats Selfish. They both have, Selfish has a defense of 4, Chipper has 4 points. So he defeats Selfish, and I put Chipper into the discard pile, and I don't score any points because it was an even match there.
So now, as you notice, I put Selfish into my defeated pile, not to be confused with the discard pile. The defeated pile is where cities go once defeated by your opponent. They do not come back in the game, and your opponent can kind of keep track of what you have here because, again, he can win also by defeating 3 of my cities. Go ahead with my turn. I'm going to reset my power and draw up to 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what I'm working with this turn here, got a couple cities there, power. I'm going to start by playing my power into my power pool. I'm going to play some level 1 Animo down into my small group. Now I have 2 cities here. I'm going to choose a Batapole because he is the stronger of the 2, put him in my opponent's path. And I'm actually going to go ahead and discard this one because I want to be able to draw more cards next time. I don't need 2 at once here. I'm just going to play the odds that I'll draw some better cards. On to the scoring phase. Really only have 1 play here, which is Hairball. He's free to play. The others need 3 powers, which I don't have. So I will play him here. Now you see he scores 3 virtue points against Tagalong's defense of 4. He is not defeated, but Hairball will remain here. He's going to help in the battle for next turn. He'll remain there until we defeat Tagalong. He also has an extra ability, which is unlocked once I put him into play during my scoring phase. That allows me to search my deck for any 1 power card. So I'm going to search my deck. I found a prayer power. So anytime it says to search for a specific card, you do want to reveal that to your opponent, shuffle your deck back up afterward, and then this is actually going to go into my hand. Since the setup phase is over, I can't play any cards I receive from this ability, but they will be in my hand to start my turn next round, and I'm done there.
Great, I'm going to draw up, I'm going to reset my power cards and draw up to 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's my hand that I drew. Let's see here. I have a couple of different level 1s that I could place. I only have 1 spot left. I'm going to put Ninjano down. I only have 1 Faith Power so far. Well, now I have 2. And Stagnetic requires 3 powers in order to play, which I don't have yet. So I'm actually going to discard him so I can get some more cards next turn. I also have Flow. Flow requires Woolsey. Flow is a level 2. Woolsey is... I'm sorry, yeah, Flow's a level 2, Woolsey's a level 1. I've already played Woolsey, so I'm also going to discard Flow. And my last card is a Cine, Furricane. Looks like Tagalong's almost defeated, so I'm going to hold on to Furricane. Maybe I'll play him next turn. I do have 2 power cards. I'm going to move into my scoring phase. And looking at my cards, I think probably the best thing to do is to activate both Faith Powers, play Bisbee against Batapole. I still have 5 points left I need to score before I defeat him, and my turn is done.
Okay. My power is cleared. Drawing to 5. 4, 5. My first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and play this power card of Prayer into my power pool. Now, Prayer is a special power. This can provide, it can act as either a faith, hope, or love power, so it's a very valuable card there. I also have, let's see, can't play that. I'm going to attach, this is a piece of equipment, Helmet of Salvation. Now, equipment is played by attaching it to one of your animal characters by simply sliding it beneath them, exposing this information tab so you can still see, your opponent can see what is attached to whom. And speaking of Glimmer, I'm going to go ahead and play Glimmer. Glimmer has a cost to play of 3. These little purple crown symbols represent any type of energy, any type of power. So I will use the 3 powers that I have, since it doesn't matter what. I'll mark all 3 and put Glimmer into action here. Now you can see I've got 8 plus 3, 11 is more than enough to defeat Tagalong's defense of 4. So the difference, 11 to 4, will give me 7 virtue points. These cards get discarded. Since Glimmer is wearing the Helmet of Salvation, it gives him the ability to be recycled. So I will put him back into my small group. I'll discard the Helmet of Salvation, and he'll be available again for next turn.
Okay, I'm going to reset my power cards, and I have 1 card already, so I'll draw up to 5. 1 more. Here's what I drew. Looks like I have 2 power cards that I pulled. Remember, you can only put 1 power per turn into the power pool, so I will put 1 there. I'll hold on to the other faith card for next turn. Powers are very important in this card, so it's good to save and hold on to those. I did pull Wariano, which is the level 2 for Ninjano, so I'm going to grow Ninjano to Wariano. And I'm going to then activate Hurricane as a Cine. Now they have Hurricane has a special action. Your opponent shuffles 1 Animo into their small group of their deck. Because it says your opponent does this, it's their choice which one they want to put back into their. It's actually
shuffle into my deck.
Shuffle into your deck. Yep. The other option I have is to play a story card. This story card, the good news, allows both players may shuffle any 4 cards from their discard pile back into their deck. So we can take a look and see what's in our discard pile. Flow. I'm going to put Amarino back in there, and Woolsey, and I'll do Stagnetic as well. And that goes back into our deck, and it gets shuffled back in. Just going to move these around here and then shuffle them back up. And then I'll move on to the scoring phase. So this gets discarded. My scoring phase, I have 3 different faith powers to work with. I'm going to hold off on Wariano until hopefully I can play Amarino next turn. I'm going to choose to play True Blue. True Blue goes on top of Batapole, and it costs 3 different powers, and he has a special action. Search your deck for any 1 virtuous animal. So I'll do that while Josh starts his turn.
Okay. And important to note, he still hasn't defeated Batapole. You may have said that I was past that. Okay, clearing my power and drawing to 5. I've got a level 1 I can put in my small group, another power I'll put in my pool. I'm going to hang on to this guy. It's another Cine, but he's a good one. A good Cine. Well, you know what I mean. He's a powerful one. He's going to give him all sorts of fits. And I'm going to go ahead and discard this because I can't see myself needing that anytime soon. On to my scoring phase. We will play Hightail. He requires 3 hope powers. I have 2 hope in this prayer, which can be used as a hope. And then I also have Hairball, who is free to play. He allows me to search my deck for 1 power. I will do that right now. Hold on to that just 1 second. Why?
Hurricane is defeated.
Right, I need to figure my score here. He's 10, I had
5.
15, so I get 5 points. The difference between the good guys and the bad guys.
I have 2 cards in my hand, so I'm going to pull, first of all, I'll reset my powers. And I will draw 3 more cards. I draw up to 5. I have Faith Power I'm going to put in there. And I have Behemoth, which is a level 1, which I'll put in my small group. And I picked up Omo, which is a Cine. And he has a special action as well. Your opponent draws up to 4 cards instead of 5 to begin their turn. That's a tough one. I also have a story card, the Fishing Net, which I will play, which allows me to draw up to 3 cards. And I'm still in my setup phase, which allows me to place Marino Ultra into my deck. That is what I can do. I had another story card that I pulled, but because I already played Fishing Nets, I'm not able to play another story card. You can only play 1 story card per turn. So I'll move on to the scoring phase. I have 4 different powers to work with. I am going to play, let's see here, I will play Behemoth for 2, and I will play Nowl for 2. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 minus 9 is 7. So I score 7 points.
You have that ability.
And I have the ability to search my deck for any 1 card. I will do that while Josh takes his turn.
Okay. Now, I can only draw... so some of the Cines have special abilities. You'll know that because of the exclamation point on the card. And then the frequency is in the other box here. This is an infinity symbol. That means this ability stays active as long as this Cine is active. So until I defeat him, I can only draw up to 4 cards to start my turn. Now he's also taking a bit of a gamble here because if I knock this guy out, I win the game. And it's not going to happen. Don't have any Virtuous Animal right now. My only hope is to try to slow him down with the Cine again, though I'm seeing what he has. And you're going to get 15 points. Either way. What's your score? 14?
Yes.
I gotta put him away, and you know, I'm gonna discard out and hope I can get some characters next turn.
Okay, I have 4 cards. I'm going to reset my power cards. So I only get to take 1 card this turn. Here's what I have in my hand. I have Amarino, which I'm going to use to grow Wariano. And I also have an equipment card, +3. This is going to be ugly. I'm going to add him to Amarino, and I'm going to add my power card here. I do also, I've already played a Cine, so I'm going to hold on to that. And I will go ahead and play these cards. Amarino Ultra, this is a very powerful card. If you play, it's worth 10 if you play 3 universal powers. If you are playing it with 3 faith powers, it's worth an extra 5, which would be 15. So that takes 3 faith, that's 15. I'm going to also play Amarino because I grew him, only requires 1. He's going to score 10 plus 3, that's an additional 13. I think that's going to be it. And
but that should give you a pretty good feel for how the game flows, and it's different every time. You know, depending on the cards you're playing with, the cards you pull, and a lot of the decisions you actually make factor into. You know, if I had just gotten one character there that turn, I had plenty of power. I could have won by knocking him out. So it's just the way it went.
yeah, good game.
Good game.